Together. Okay. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone had a great day. But then I also remembered September 11th. So also too paying homage to everyone on this day. But we are so excited to have all of you here for our first webinar in the More Than Hair webinar series. As all of you know, it is National Scarring Alopecia Awareness Month. And because of that month, we wanted to do something a little bit extra. We wanted to make sure that we are providing resources to our overall community. As we all know, scarring alopecia is the conversation that we are having. And we are so excited today to have Dr. Adora Ewulu here from ManeMD to talk to us tonight. Also, as a disclaimer, when you signed up for the webinar, you did have an opportunity to add in questions. So we will be answering some of those questions at the end. So I'm going to kick it off to our amazing presenter.
All right. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Dr. Ewulu. I'm a dermatology resident physician, and I'm the founder of ManeMD. This is the first physician-led wig and cranial prosthetic brand. It's an honor to be here with the Scarring Alopecia Foundation because I think this community really represents strength, resilience, and advocacy. But today I wanted to share not just what ManeMD is, but why I started it, how wigs can transform lives, and then where I see the future of hair prosthetics going. So this is the agenda, and I'm going to try to follow this as much as possible, but I might veer off. But this is essentially what I will be discussing today. All right, and then before I dive in, again, I want to thank the Scarring Alopecia Foundation for creating this space. Because to me, hair loss is not a cosmetic issue. Well, it's not just a cosmetic issue. I feel, deeply personal. I think it affects identity, confidence, and quality of life. So my hope today is that you all walk away with practical education, new resources, and a reminder that you're not alone in this journey. All right, so a little bit about me. Before founding the ManeMD, I was a medical student at Georgetown University School of Medicine in DC. And I noticed how often hair loss was brushed off in clinical spaces. I was drawn to dermatology because of its visible connection to identity, and hair stood out as one of the most emotionally charged topics patients brought up in clinic. But my journey actually started even earlier. Back in college, I was making wigs by hand just as a hobby. I learned from YouTube videos. I started creating wigs for myself and then slowly for my family and friends. And I never thought it would become anything bigger until I finally confided in a mentor. She was a physician during medical school, and she told me, wow, you should turn this into something. So then during my fourth year of medical school, I had the opportunity to participate in the American Hair Research Society's mentorship program. So through this, I shadowed my mentor, Dr. Midova, who you see in the picture here. I had dinner with her in Miami, at the University of Miami. She ran a dedicated hair loss clinic several days a week. It was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my training. So watching patients light up just from having their condition named or from seeing hair regrow after years of hair loss, it deepened my passion for the work. At the time, I was still a little hesitant about starting a business. I knew nothing about business and I didn't feel confident enough to put myself out there. In fact, I actually didn't even publicly share that I wore wigs myself until about 2 years ago. But as I started seeing more hair loss patients in clinic and wearing wigs more openly, I realized the power of visibility and honesty. So everything started to click during residency when I met my fiance. Luckily, he has an MBA and he works in tech, so he really helped bring the business side of the dream to life. So his support combined with what I was seeing in clinic gave me that final push to create something meaningful. So what inspired the ManeMD was the idea that we could combine evidence-based care with empathy and real-world solutions. So wigs, insurance help, styling education, especially for those navigating hair loss for the first time. And I didn't want to wait until I finished residency training to make a difference. So I started the business 5 months ago while still a resident. And it was really born out of patient need and a desire to bridge this gap between medicine and the personal. Also during residency, I realized there was very little medical literature guiding how dermatologists could talk to patients about wigs and cranial prosthetics. So that inspired me to publish a paper to the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology titled Review of Prosthetic Options for Patients with Alopecia. And this looked at the different wig types available, cap constructions, and how they could be used in patient care. Just recently, I got IRB approval to officially launch a quality improvement project at Children's Hospital of Orange County here in Orange County. So I created educational pamphlets, a centralized resource for families and providers, um, basically talking about all the different nonprofit wig options for kids. And the goal for that was really simple, just making sure pediatric patients don't fall through the cracks just because them or they or their families don't know free wig resources exist. Some other things this year, I was honored to be selected as the L'Oreal Hair Scholar, which was a recognition that highlighted my commitment to advancing hair health and innovation. So that award really affirmed for me that the work we're doing in the space matters on a larger scale. And I feel like all of these experiences so far really fueled my desire to keep going with ManeMD, um, just by creating medical grade solutions while also advocating for patients. So let's talk about the challenges for many hair loss patients. The first one is most important to me is the emotional toll. So hair loss affects self-esteem, identity, and can lead to anxiety or depression. Studies have shown that nearly half of people with hair loss experience anxiety. Also, access barriers. Many patients don't know insurance can actually cover wigs or how to navigate that process. Some don't know where to even look for a good quality, trusted wig company. There's also comfort issues. A lot of wigs on the market right now are not designed for sensitive or scarred scalps. They can cause irritation, overheating, or just in general, just feel very unnatural. So the problem isn't just hair loss. The problem is that the solutions available don't always meet the patient's medical and emotional needs. So at ManeMD, we design products with scalp health in mind, and we also provide virtual one-to-one consultations on our website to help patients find the right fit. So we exist to give you not just a wig, but a resource, an advocate, and a community. So these pictures, the one on the left is one of our first medical grade wigs that was sold to a customer in the box. Sorry, in the middle, we have the boxes just showing our lovely packaging. And then far right was one of our customers that she came to me, she reached out because she had a graduation coming up. She has alopecia areata. She gave me permission to post this photo, but we transformed her in about an hour with a beautiful wig, and she was so happy. Um,
Dr. Ewulu, I just want to let you know we cannot see those photos. I just wanted to let you know.
oh, really? Okay. Did you see any of the photos before?
I can see them.
Oh, okay.
Everybody can see them?
I can see them, yes.
I can see it.
Great. Okay. So
Okay.
sorry. Keep going.
All right, thanks. Okay, introducing ManeMD. We are, again, the first physician-founded wig and cranial prosthetic company, and our mission is to empower patients through wigs and hair education. To the right here is one of my great friends. She was having some issues with hair thinning, and she wanted her first wig, so I gave it to her. She ended up loving the wig so much, she ended up purchasing this unit. And then, this was her direct quote, "From thinning hair to full confidence, this wig gave me the volume and style I've always wanted." Types of hair loss solutions we offer. So when people hear wig, I feel like they often think one size fits all, but there's a big difference between a medical grade wig and a fashion focused lace wig. So medical grade wigs are specifically designed for people with medical hair loss, including scarring, alopecia, and chemotherapy. So they're built with scalp safety in mind, usually lightweight, hand tied, some type of soft, maybe silicone perimeter so that the wig does not slip. They don't require adhesives or glue, which is important for sensitive or scarred scalps. And importantly, they can be prescribed and built in insurance as a cranial prosthesis. For HD lace wigs, on the other hand, they're usually popular more for aesthetics. The lace is extremely thin, which allows for a very natural looking hairline and part. They're great for styling. You could part them multiple ways or even put them in updos, but the trade-off is that the lace is more delicate and usually requires glue or adhesive, which isn't always ideal for sensitive scalps. Also, the bundles of hair are attached or sewn to the caps via wefts, which can be also irritating to the scalp. The cap itself also isn't as breathable because of that. Lastly, they're not usually covered by insurance, but they're great for people who want to styling flexibility and realism for special occasions or daily wear. In fact, what I'm wearing right now is an HD wefted wig. So to summarize, medical grade wigs are about comfort, safety, insurance coverage, while HD lace wefted wigs are more for styling, aesthetic, and flexibility, but both have a place depending on the patient's need. Some more things we offer, toppers. Toppers are like mini wigs. So instead of covering your entire head, they cover the top or crown area where thinning or scarring might be most noticeable. They clip into your natural hair, which makes them lighter, cooler, and less bulky than a full wig. I think they're a great option for patients who still have hair but want more coverage at the part or crown. For example, someone with androgenetic alopecia or even CCCA, they might find a topper much more comfortable than a full wig. And then lastly, we do sell extensions, tape-in and clip-in extensions. By contrast, these are more for patients who still have enough healthy hair to support them. They're meant to add length or volume to natural hair, not to replace lost hair. So if you have widespread or scarring alopecia, extensions usually are not the best choice because they tend to because they need existing hair to hold on to. But for a woman with early thinning or mild density loss, extensions can enhance the styling without the need for a full wig or a topper. And the photo that I see here or you guys see here to the right is an example of a topper. So here's where ManeMD really stands apart. Many wig companies sell medical grade wigs or claim to sell medical grade wigs, but they're made in like a standardized construction. One type of base, maybe some lace at the front, and that's it. It's not personalized. It's just a wig that someone with likely very little to no medical training said is good for their scalp. But at ManeMD, I personally do not believe one cap works for everyone. I use my background as a physician in dermatology to tailor wigs based on each person's diagnosis, scalp condition, and even their lifestyle. So that means combining different base materials into a cap design that truly fits the patient. So, for example, thin skin or polyurethane bases, they create a smooth protective layer, which is great for patients with very sensitive or blistering scalp disorders. It's also very secure. Diamond lace, we offer diamond lace. It's lightweight, breathable, perfect for patients worried about heat or comfort. There's also French lace, which is very durable, still natural looking, more ideal for patients who need both realism and long-term wear. Swiss lace, HD lace is an example of Swiss lace. It's the thinnest and softest lace, super natural at the hairline, but a lot more delicate, as I said before. So I may use this in the front for people who are more worried about aesthetics. And then silk base mimics the look of a scalp beautifully and adds comfort. It's great for patients who want a more natural parting space because I think out of all the laces and options that you can add to the front of the wig, I think that one looks the most like scalp. And then monofilament allows the hair to be hand tied one by one in multiple directions. So it creates this realistic parting while staying breathable and lightweight. So on my website, when I review a patient's intake form, I look at their diagnosis and their symptoms. For example, a patient with scarring alopecia may do best with monofilament because of the breathability and comfort. Someone with frontal fibrosing alopecia might need Swiss lace at the front for realism, but silk or polyurethane elsewhere on the cap for protection. A chemotherapy patient might benefit from silicone or polyurethane perimeter grips for security while their hair regrows. So by mixing and matching these materials, I can create a custom wig for you that's not just medical grade, but truly personalized. Overall, just like a prosthetic built around the patient's medical condition, scalp health, and their personal preferences. So this is an example of a cap construction that would be good for someone or who's suffering from chemo. Because of cancer. So looking for, if they're looking for like an anti-slip, breathable, but realistic and durable hairline, this would be a great construction for them. French lace front, skin with gauze, elastic belts, and then anti-slip silicone strips. And then I want to share a peek into the future because ManeMD isn't just about today's wigs, it's about pushing innovation forward. The first project is our soon-to-be patented scalp-safe prosthetic cap line. Many high-quality medical wigs are hand-tied and lightweight, but they still leave patients with limitations. The seams or stiff edges that irritate sensitive skin or hairlines that don't look truly natural without glue or adhesives. And our upcoming caps are designed to solve all of those issues. We will be using new and innovative cap materials to offer ultra lightweight prosthetics that are even more seamless inside and safe, even for the most fragile scalps. The hairline will look as natural as an HD lace wig, but without the adhesives that can damage sensitive skin. And of course, we will always use premium 100% human hair, ensuring the longevity and styling flexibility. So what makes this different is that it is patient-inspired and physician-led. So I actually made friends with a patient who suffers from epidermolysis bullosa, which some of you may know is a very rare blistering scalp disorder. I met her in clinic and she became an advisor for ManeMD. She explained to me one day how every wig she's tried so far either looked fake or further exacerbated her blisters. So her story was really inspiring to me, and I believe it pretty much shaped this whole design that we're creating because I feel like it's about creating caps that meet the highest standards of safety and beauty. The second innovation is our AI hair health analysis app that's coming up. So imagine uploading a photo of your scalp and within minutes receiving personalized feedback, potential diagnoses, and treatment recommendations. This app will also suggest the best wig cap for your scalp condition, whether a topper or full wig is more appropriate, and other gentle scalp care recommendations. And at the end of all of it, you will be referred to a local dermatologist, someone in your area. So for patients, this means accessible science-based guidance from home. For providers, it's like a tool to streamline assessments and connect patients to the right treatments and cranial prosthetics faster. So altogether, these innovations, the prosthetic cap line and the AI app, represent the future of ManeMD, combining medical expertise, patient feedback, and technology to really revolutionize how we care for hair loss. So education for patients. Another part of my work is education, and I think social media so far has been a powerful way to reach people where they are. I recently partnered with HERS on a hair loss awareness campaign, helping to bring medical credibility and advocacy into the conversation about women's hair health. I also run growing platforms on TikTok and Instagram. So I use content to create, educated, empower, and sometimes just bring humor to the topic of hair loss. One of my favorite series that I just started is called Wig and Tell. So in it, I wear different wigs and record people's reactions when I tell them I'm wearing a wig. And then I ask them questions that reveal what the community really knows or maybe doesn't know about wigs and alopecia. So it's pretty eye-opening because you see both the curiosity and the gaps in awareness. And then beyond that, I do post quick 1-minute talks breaking down different hair conditions, some that are common like seborrheic dermatitis and others that are rare like the scarring alopecias or the epidermolysis bullosa patients. So these posts are shared across TikTok and Instagram, and my following has been growing since I started posting these videos. So the goal is to make education accessible, engaging, and relatable, turning what can be a very heavy and touchy subject into conversations that spread awareness and help to reduce the stigma behind wearing wigs. So how to choose a wig. I do offer one-to-one virtual consultations that you can book on my website. We also have a pretty extensive FAQ section on the website and a customization guide, or you can even just let me choose your wig for you if you're unsure when you're trying to order a wig. You would just have to let me know during checkout or send me an email and we can chat about what could be best for you. When choosing a wig, here are some key things to consider. Cap construction. So I talked about like monofilament caps. They give you the scalp a very realistic look. Lace fronts allow natural hairlines. Silicone helps secure the wig without glue. Density and length. The right density will look natural. 130% is the average density that I see people order. Not too thick or not too thin. And then toppers versus wig. If you have partial hair loss, a topper might feel lighter and more comfortable than a full wig. So those are all some things that you can consider. So once you have a wig, caring for it properly is very important, especially if you want it to last a year or longer. I have some wigs that I have literally had since I was a medical student, and I still wear those wigs today, and nobody can tell that they're like 5 years old because I take care of them. So wash your wig gently every 1 to 2 weeks using a mild shampoo. Never use harsh products. After washing, store it on a mannequin head or a wig stand and let it air dry. That's like the key to longevity. Once you start putting heat on it every time, like it starts to break down the follicles and it just doesn't look the same as it did when it was right off the package. Um, and then when styling, you want to use a wide tooth comb or a Denman brush to prevent shedding and tangling. You can use those skinny rat tail combs. That's fine if you just need to define your part or something, but avoid like using it throughout the hair just to avoid excessive pulling. If you choose to use adhesives like the Ebb and Lay spray, for example, I'm a fan of the Ebb and Lay spray. I think it kind of completes the look, but it's also just not necessary. Um, if you do use that, always clean the lace after each use. So alcohol works really well for removing residue and it keeps the lace clean and it helps the wig look more natural and less detectable. And then I would say most importantly, remember that caring for your wig isn't just about protecting the hair fibers. It's also about protecting your scalp. So a healthy scalp means a more comfortable, safer wig wearing experience. Insurance and wig resources. So did you guys know that wigs can be reimbursed under insurance as a cranial prosthesis? Some of you did know, some of you have tried, and depending on your insurance, it didn't work out. But I do think a lot of patients don't realize this. If you get a prescription from your doctor, insurance may cover part or even all of the costs. And from what I remember right now, there's only 9 states in the US that actually mandate wig insurance coverage. So I'm not exactly sure which states those are off the top of my head, but I know there's 9. And I know that foundations like the National Alopecia Areata Foundation are working to get that to be a thing in New York as well and California. So we're just kind of working our way through the states to make that a thing. Because right now, a lot of insurance companies think that hair loss is cosmetic. But the step-by-step instructions on how to do this is on the FAQ on my website. So if you need help going through that process, just head to my website. It's very detailed. It tells you exactly what to do and how ManeMD can help create an invoice that is appropriate for you to send over to those insurance companies. But beyond insurance, there are also nonprofit and different foundations that provide wigs for free or at a reduced cost. But beware that the quality of these wigs, from my experience, varies, and a lot of the times it's not good. But you really do have to look through all the resources and find ones that have all the qualities that you would want in a wig if you're going for something that's free. ManeMD is actively working to connect patients with these resources because wigs, I don't think, should ever be out of reach financially. So impact and vision. So I've had a patient in clinic tell me that after receiving a custom wig, she finally felt comfortable attending her daughter's graduation without a hat. I've also had other patients tell me that their wigs gave them a confidence to apply for a new job. So these are not small things. I think they're life-changing moments, and I think that's the impact wigs can have on patients. So as we look to the future, one thing is clear, ManeMD cannot do this alone. So we have been in conversations with investors, donators, partnerships with organizations that believe in our mission. And I'm proud to say we've already received a few micro grants, which have allowed us to get started, but obviously the need is much greater. So looking ahead, we're committed to doing 3 things: continuing to publish research on hair prosthetics, so patients and providers have evidence-based guidance when they're helping patients choose a wig or when patients are trying to choose wigs for themselves. Continuing to build partnerships with hospitals and nonprofits to expand access to patients who need wigs the most. And then finally, driving innovation through our upcoming AI hair analysis app and the development of our next generation prosthetic caps. So just a quick guidance on how to order a ManeMD medical grade wig from our site. So if you go to the site, you will see this button at the top says shop, and then you would click on medical grade wigs and it will take you to this page. And then from there, you need to fill out all the details that you would want in a wig. So hair length, hair density, cap size, and it does instruct you on how to measure the size of your head or what measurements we would need. And that information you would put in the additional detail section. I also ask about whether you require an invoice for insurance reimbursement because we'll be able to email you a specific type of invoice that would be appropriate for you to send to your insurance company. The most important thing is telling me what your hair loss is related to, because that will really help me tailor the cap construction that I feel like is best for your situation. So once you fill out that form, if I have any questions, I'll email you back and we can kind of go back and forth. But for the most part, I email you an invoice within 24 hours and I'll tell you the details of the cap that I recommend for you. And if it's something that you're interested in, or if you want to tweak something, you let me know. But essentially, I'll give you the price. And then from there, you can pay and we can get the process started. But at this stage, whenever you're filling out the form, no payment is required. So you don't need to put in your credit card information or anything. You just fill out the form and it gets sent to me, and then we communicate from there. Okay, so I think I have a little bit of time to kind of do like a live demonstration of my wigs. Okay, so I wanted to kind of just do a quick comparison between HD lace wigs versus medical grade wigs. So I know with HD lace wigs, I talked about how these caps, so they're made out of mesh, but the problem is that often they come with these clips where if you put these on your scalp often enough, if you're someone who wears wigs daily, eventually this will pull on your hair follicles, which is not good, especially if you have traction alopecia or some type of scarring or inflammatory scalp disorder. This is HD lace, which is great, super natural, but then you also have the tracks or bundles of hair are machine sewn onto this cap, which is also not good for sensitive scalps. So this is not something that I would recommend to a patient who has a scarring alopecia or even really any type of alopecia, just because I think this can actually make hair loss worse if your scalp is already fragile. Um, but then in comparison to like a medical grade wig, and this is just like a sample, um, it has no wefts. This is completely hand-tied monofilament wig. So it kind of has that similar mesh material, but a lot thinner than the mesh that you saw in the HD lace cap. But everything in here is like silicone. So it doesn't even need clips or anything. It doesn't have clips because the silicone is pretty much anti-slip. So if you put it on, you don't need to worry about it falling off. It's very breathable. You don't have to worry about it overheating. You don't have to worry really about it slipping off, and the hair is like amazing. This is Mongolian hair, by the way, and French lace. Um, but yeah, that is pretty much it as far as the comparison goes. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so to close, I want to bring it back to why I started ManeMD. Hair is very deeply tied to identity. Losing it is not easy, but finding solutions, I believe, should be. And the message to you all is this: hair loss does not define you. You deserve comfort, dignity, and confidence. And in honor of Scarring Alopecia Awareness Month, ManeMD is currently offering a 30% discount on all our medical grade wigs for all of the attendees. No code will be needed. So this would automatically be applied once I send over that final quote to you. And this is really just our way of giving back to this incredible community. So thank you all so much for attending and listening. This is my contact information, Instagram, TikTok. Feel free to email me if you want to reach out with any further questions. And then the website is at the end.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So, as we all know, we did want to make sure that we had time to answer the questions that were sent in. So, I am just going to read off of a few. So, starting with what sets your products apart from other brands?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on this during my presentation, but I believe what sets us apart is that I don't just customize wigs by length, color, or style. I also personalize the caps itself based on a person's diagnosis and their daily lifestyle. So I use all the different materials that I mentioned, the polyurethane, the diamond lace, monofilament, Swiss lace, silk, or French lace, each of which has its own strengths. So for example, someone with sensitive skin or scalp irritation might benefit from monofilament, while a patient who wants ultra thin and natural hairlines might prefer Swiss lace. Silk can give the most realistic scalp appearance, and polyurethane or skin wigs offer durability and anti-slip support. So by combining the materials, I personally create a prosthetic that's not only natural looking, but also medically safe and comfortable for that specific person.
Wow. I would have never. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Another question is, so what options are available that would spare the remaining hair, meaning like not to rub or pull it off?
Yeah, so I always like to use like CCCA as an example. But one of the most important things is protecting the hair you still have. So styles like weaves, braids, or glued units can actually make things worse by pulling on fragile follicles. There's safer options, which include the hand-tied cranial prosthetics made with soft bases like monofilaments or silk. They're usually pretty lightweight. They reduce friction. There's also caps with silicone lining or elastic netting that stay in place without clips, glue, or combs. And then there's toppers. If the hair loss is mostly at the crown, which in CCCA it usually starts at the crown and spreads outwardly, they provide coverage without covering your whole scalp.
Thank you for that one. Another question was, what are the best types of medication to treat this?
Okay. This as in,
The question was just this.
oh,
So going to assume scarring alopecia. Overall, as a whole, there's not a specific type. So I can completely understand if this question is a little vague for
okay.
us to answer.
No, that's fine. So let's talk about things like CCCA or lichen planopilaris. Um, so first line therapy for something like lichen planopilaris, the goal is to target the autoimmune mediated inflammation that drives the follicular destruction. So options for treatment usually include topical and intralesional steroids. So I don't know, some of you may have tried Kenalog injections intralesionally, or even topical steroids like clobetasol, triamcinolone. Those are all corticosteroids, and they're usually the first line for more localized disease. And then the next step, if that doesn't work, oral anti-inflammatories. So hydroxychloroquine, also known as Plaquenil, that's a good one. It has both anti-inflammatory and immunomodulatory properties, and it's very commonly used both for CCCA and lichen planopilaris. Then there's also antibiotics, so tetracyclines like doxycycline, which is good for their anti-inflammatory effect. And then other systemic immunomodulators, methotrexate, cyclosporin, short courses of oral prednisone might be considered in more resistant cases. And then things you can add on top, topical protopic. That's a non-steroidal, but it's good for maintenance or sensitive scalp areas. So I think like overall, whether it's lichen planopilaris, CCCA, the overarching goal is to really suppress the disease activity and preserve the existing follicles. So, because I'm sure a lot of you know that regrowth is generally just not possible after scarring. So the goal is really to preserve what's still there.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. Another one is, and I think you partially answered this, but just want to make sure, is a partial weave better than a full wig to cover up hair loss on the top of the head?
Okay, so with scarring alopecias, partial weaves may seem like a good option to cover thinning on top, but they can actually make things worse because weaves usually involve like braiding the hair tightly or sewing tracks in, and that can put tension on follicles that are already fragile and can speed up hair loss and worsen the inflammation. So I usually say like wigs or cranial prosthetics are a safer option, like full wigs, because it distributes the weight evenly across the scalp and doesn't require pulling on the hair you have left. So for patients with some remaining hair, I think a lightweight topper can also work really well because it blends with your natural hair while still protecting the scalp from extra stress. So while A weave might seem like less coverage in the long run. A wig or topper is usually healthier for the scalp, and helps preserve what hair remains.
Okay. I see another question is, and this is more, I would say an emotional question, but how to not be afraid of what friends think when I start wearing wigs?
Yeah, honestly, it's completely normal to feel nervous about what friends or coworkers will think when you start wearing a wig, but I would say to remember a wig is really nothing to be ashamed of. It's a tool like glasses or braces that help you feel more like yourself. Um, a few ways to ease into the transition is reframing the narrative. Like instead of thinking, oh, they're gonna notice I'm wearing a wig, think they'll notice I look confident and more put together today. And then starting gradually, like some people begin with toppers or wigs similar to their natural styles so that the change feels less dramatic, but others have fun embracing new looks. And honestly, there's no wrong choice. And also control your story. You don't have to explain anything to them if you don't want to. But I also think the most important thing is support. So communities like this, like alopecia support groups, or even just talking to someone who wears wigs, someone like me, I don't care what people think when I tell them I wear wigs. I'm super open about it now. And I think if it looks good, you rock it. Help normalize the experience. So that's what I would say to that.
Thank you. Okay, I see also too a few questions in the chat. One of the questions that I see is, what is the turnaround for receiving a custom wig once a payment has been made?
Yeah, so because it is fully hand tied and fully customized, it usually takes minimum 8 weeks, maximum 10. So 8 to 10 weeks is standard unless it's something that we feel like we already have close to, already made, because we do have some stock wigs as well. So if what you're asking for is already like in our office, then it'll be a lot faster, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. But in general, fully customized wigs, 8 to 10.
Great. So plan out 8 to 10 weeks, y'all. Okay. Another question. How do you handle making toppers for curly hair that changes with humidity?
Hmm. So the thing is that if your hair changes with humidity, then the topper's hair is going to change with humidity too, because it is human hair, it's going to act like human hair. So I think it's always good to, no matter what happens when you go out and you start sweating, um, you should always start with a wig that looks as close to your natural hair as possible because it's going to mimic what your natural hair does whenever you go out and sweat. So because these are human hair wigs, they are going to act like human hair.
Great. Another question that I see is, how do you match the existing hair color?
Um, I forgot to mention this, but whenever you order a wig, or sorry, put in your information in the form, the customization form on my website, I do request that you upload a picture. Good quality pictures. You can upload as many as you want to really give me an idea of what color you're looking for. And if I have any more questions or need more photos, I'll email you. But that's very important, is just to make sure you upload that picture where it asks.
Great. We always miss a part on the form. So when anyone's filling out their form, everyone, make sure you put your
Yes.
photos in. Another question that I see is, where are you located and does the website have photos of your stock wig options?
Yes, so I'm located in Orange County right now. I do not have a physical shop, but the website does have photos of people who have bought my wigs, different clients. But I would say if you're looking for like a plethora of photos and videos, you should go to my Instagram or my TikTok because I'm constantly posting photos of either myself or people who bought the wig. So there's a lot more on there than on the website, just because I've tried to like put in everything on the website, but it actually makes the website slower. So I try to preserve those photos for my social media.
Great. So everyone, if you're not on social media, hop on. I know there's a lot of different platforms. There's actually too many different platforms, but that's none of my business. Okay, next question. What about highlights in terms of the overall wigs? Is that an option?
Yes, fully. When I say customize, I mean fully customize. We have people ask for highlights all the time. Again, as long as you send me pictures of what you're looking for, front, back, side, I will handle it. I will make sure that what we send you is as close as possible to the picture. But yeah, highlights, no problem.
Great. We want to get different colors for different seasons. Okay. Let's see. I'm just seeing if there's any additional questions that anyone has. I think I got all the ones in the chat. Okay, yeah, I think I got all the questions in the chat. Does anyone have an additional question? I just want to make sure that I'm highlighting. Also, too, we want to make good use of the presenter's time. So if you have a last minute question that you did not enter, please feel free to drop it in the chat. But if not, there will be a follow-up email. Okay, Megan, social media handles. Yes, and that's the website. There will also be a follow-up email, just so everyone knows, that adds in the website and then the contact information. So everyone has it, the TikTok, the Instagram, the website. Also, too, just a little bit additional information when it comes to the wig discount. Okay, I see two more questions. Okay. Another question that I saw is that are there short coily wigs?
Yes. So our shortest length right now is 10 inches. So if you want it shorter than that, then you'd have to like go to a stylist and get it cut shorter. But that's the shortest we will typically go is like 8 to 10 inches. But yes, we have wigs in all textures, kinky curly, kinky straight, um, wavy, body wave, all of it.
Great, nice and customizable. And then additionally, could you give us a broad price range is a few of the questions that I am seeing. I know that obviously it depends on what people are asking for, what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I definitely know that it's customizable, but just wanted to
Yes.
throw that over.
So our HD lace wig, let's say you're not looking for a medical grade wig, you just want a wig like this. This would start at around $410. I think that's our cheapest wig. And then obviously the longer the hair, the different colors you put in it, it's gonna take the price up a notch. So 30-inch wig would probably be around $1,000. So anywhere between 400 and $1,000. On average, people are paying like 500, 450, 500 because most people just stick with like 18-inch, 20-inch wigs. And then as far as the medical grade wigs, again, very customizable, different materials are used, fully hand tied, so it's definitely more pricey. Those wigs usually start at around $999, and then they can go up to like $3,000. So if you use the 30% off, obviously it'll be cheaper, but that's the price range for the more medical grade wigs.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I know lots of times costs can be a factor in looking for some of these wigs or toppers. So thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
Another question that I see is, can the clips on toppers cause pulling on the hair?
I actually think so, but I think that you can prevent that based off of how you remove the topper when you're done. So there's usually clips like on each side and then in the front and in the back. So I think when you take it off, you just have to be very careful not to just like yank it off because obviously, you know, those clips can pull on the hair. So I think, and this is something I can demonstrate like, you know, later on, but and maybe on my website, I'll post it on my website, but just like holding on to the top of the topper and then pulling the clips off one by one so that you're not just yanking it off in one go, I think helps to prevent the hair loss.
Great. Thank you so much for that clarification. And then additionally, I know I'm just looking at our time, so I just want to make sure. Okay. Another question is, would we get insurance approval first for medical grade, or does it need to be reimbursed? And then also, how long does it typically take for insurance response?
It really varies. Like some insurance companies are like super fast about it, some take a few weeks. So usually how it goes is that you would pay for the wig, um, and then you also need to make sure you have a diagnosis, medical diagnosis from a doctor on top of an invoice from the wig company. So once you submit the receipt with the diagnosis code to the insurance company, that's when they look at it and decide whether they're going to reimburse you or not. And yeah, it usually takes a few weeks to hear back from them.
Okay. Okay, let's see another
But I
question.
will say, um, you should definitely like reach out to your insurance company beforehand so that you're not wasting your time just to know whether they're gonna cover the cost or not. I know that there's a lot of company or insurance companies that will cover at least $750 of it. So I think that's a pretty good chunk.
Great. And then another question that I see, a topper for FFA, um, isn't a forehead clip, so how do you attach it?
I actually don't think, unless you have hair in some places on the frontal scalp. I would actually say for FFA, it would be better for you to use a full wig rather than a topper because a topper is really only for like partial hair loss. But if you're losing hair all in the front, you need something that's going to cover all the front. So a full medical grade wig versus even an HD lace wig, like a frontal wig that goes 13 by 4. So the lace would cover 13 by 4 inches of your head. So those are good frontals versus a full medical grade wig for FFA.
Hey, thank you so much for your response on that. Okay, well, that seems to be most of our questions. Again, I will send a follow-up information to everyone in terms of the social media handles, the website, the additional pricing. But I just want to say thank you so much today to our amazing presenter. We appreciate you taking the time with us and giving us all the additional information. I know that we're always constantly looking for solutions, and especially when it comes to wigs and toppers, that's definitely a topic that we're constantly talking about. So we always appreciate the new innovation, and we appreciate new presenters coming in and talking about this. There will be a recording of this overall webinar for everyone to access. It will not be immediately because we have to get it all uploaded, but it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great day. Please check out our website and our social media.
Thanks so much for joining the More Than Just Hair webinar lifestyle series, and we will see you next time. We have another webinar on September the 18th. We also have another one on September 26th, and then another one on September 30th. So stay tuned. The emails will be going out, and we hope to see all of you soon.
Bye.